Welcome to this comprehensive exploration of Altschuller's theory of the development of a creative personality, a systematic framework for cultivating individuals capable of achieving socially significant creative goals. Genrich Altshuller, the father of TRIZ, the theory of inventive problem-solving, recognized that solving technical problems was only part of the equation. Together with Igor Vertkin, he developed TRTP, the theory of development of a creative personality, as a logical extension of TRIZ. While TRIZ focuses on solving individual technical problems using systematic methods and patterns of innovation, TRTP takes a broader view. TRTP aims to shape a holistic life strategy for creative individuals, transforming how one approaches their entire life and career. Let me pose a fundamental question. Is creativity an inherent talent that you're born with, or is it a skill that can be systematically developed? The traditional view holds that creativity is an innate talent. You either have it or you don't. Mozart was a genius, Einstein was a genius, and ordinary people can't reach their level. But TRTP takes a radically different position. It asserts that creativity is fundamentally a conscious choice and a result of deliberate self-education and systematic transformation. Here we see the contrast. On the left is the traditional view, where creativity is random and unteachable. On the right is TRTP, where creativity is systematic and deliberately cultivated. TRTP rests on three fundamental pillars. Let's examine each one in detail. The first pillar is the concept of a worthy goal. This is not just any goal, but a high, socially beneficial aim that directs all of one's efforts. A worthy goal must have social significance. It should benefit humanity, not just yours. It's not about getting rich or famous, but about making a meaningful contribution to society. The goal must be specific and measurable. Vague aspirations like "I want to help people" are insufficient. You need a concrete objective like "I will develop a vaccine for a specific disease," or "I will create an educational system accessible to underserved communities." A worthy goal typically requires long-term commitment, often spanning decades. Marie Curie spent her entire life researching radioactivity. Thomas Edison conducted thousands of experiments before perfecting the light bulb. Here is a visual representation of a worthy goal at the center, with its four key characteristics radiating outward: socially beneficial, specific and measurable, requiring long-term commitment, and being challenging and ambitious. Let's examine a concrete example. Louis Pasteur's worthy goal was to understand and prevent infectious diseases through scientific methods. Pasteur spent decades researching microorganisms and their role in disease. His work on germ theory revolutionized medicine and saved countless lives. He developed vaccines for rabies and anthrax, directly benefiting society. His goal was not personal glory, but the reduction of human suffering. His work laid the foundation for modern microbiology and immunology. The impact continues today, over a century after his death. Let's do a back-of-envelope calculation to quantify the impact of a worthy goal. Consider the rabies vaccine. Before the rabies vaccine, approximately 100 people per million died from rabies each year in affected regions. With widespread vaccination, this has dropped to approximately 1 death per million per year. So the number of lives saved per year is 99 times the global population divided by 1 million. With a global population of 8 billion, that's approximately 792,000 lives saved every single year. Over a century, that's nearly 80 million lives saved from just one person's worthy goal. The second pillar is the life strategy of a creative personality. This is a structured approach to organizing your life to achieve your worthy goal. The first key component is a system of plans. You need short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans that all align with your worthy goal. Here's how the system of plans works. You have daily, monthly, and yearly plans that are all guided by your long-term strategic plan, which itself is aligned with your worthy goal. The second component is rigorous control of plan execution. Creative people must regularly assess their progress and adjust their strategies as needed. The third component is continuous self-education. You must constantly expand your knowledge base, not just in your field, but in adjacent and seemingly unrelated fields as well. The fourth component is effective time management. Creative work requires protected time for deep thinking and experimentation, free from distractions. Let's examine Charles Darwin as an example of someone who implemented a life strategy of a creative personality. Darwin's worthy goal was understanding the origin of species and the mechanisms of evolution. He spent 5 years on the HMS Beagle, systematically gathering data from around the world. This was part of his medium-term plan. He then spent over 20 years analyzing this data, reading extensively, conducting experiments, and developing his theory. This required extraordinary discipline and time management. Darwin established strict daily routines. He worked in focused blocks, took regular walks for thinking, and protected his creative time fiercely. Let's calculate Darwin's productivity. From the Beagle voyage end in 1836 to publishing Origin of Species in 1859, that's 23 years of focused work. If we estimate he did 4 hours of deep work per day, accounting for his health issues, that's 23 times 365 times 4, which equals approximately 33,580 hours of focused creative work. If we value that time at $50 per hour in modern terms, that's approximately $1.68 million worth of focused intellectual labor invested into one worthy goal. The third pillar consists of specific qualities that must be consciously developed. These are not innate traits, but learned skills. Quality 1 is strong goal orientation. You must maintain unwavering focus on your worthy goal despite obstacles, setbacks, and distractions. Quality 2 is the ability to create effective plans and maintain control over their execution. This includes self-discipline and self-monitoring. Quality 3 is high work capacity. Creative work is demanding and requires the ability to sustain intense mental effort over long periods. Quality 4 is non-standard thinking. You must develop the ability to see problems from multiple perspectives and generate novel solutions. Quality 5 is the ability to defend new ideas. Novel ideas often face resistance, so you must develop rhetorical skills and psychological resilience. Here is a pentagon representing the 5 key qualities of a creative personality. Each point represents one quality, and all 5 must be developed in balance to achieve maximum creative potential. You might ask, why is defending ideas so important? Isn't a good idea self-evident? History shows that resistance to new ideas is the norm, not the exception. Innovative ideas challenge existing paradigms and threaten established interests. Consider Ignaz Semmelweis, who discovered in 1847 that hand-washing dramatically reduced maternal mortality in hospitals. Semmelweis reduced mortality rates from 18% to 2%, simply by requiring doctors to wash hands with chlorinated lime. Yet the medical establishment rejected his findings. Why? Because his theory implied that doctors themselves were causing deaths, which was psychologically unbearable to accept. Semmelweis lacked the qualities to defend his idea effectively. He became bitter, wrote angry letters, and eventually suffered a mental breakdown. He died in an asylum, his ideas vindicated only after his death. Contrast this with Louis Pasteur, who faced similar resistance to germ theory. Pasteur was skilled at public demonstrations, published rigorously, cultivated influential supporters, and strategically chose battles he could win. A crucial aspect of TRTP is that creativity results from deliberate self-education and system transformation. Let me elaborate on what this means. You must actively study the biographies and working methods of highly creative individuals across different fields. Identify patterns in how they approach problems. You must practice specific creative techniques systematically. This includes TRIZ tools, lateral thinking methods, and problem-solving frameworks. You must deliberately place yourself in challenging situations that force creative thinking. Comfort is the enemy of creative development. Here's an analogy. Consider how someone becomes a world-class musician. Do they simply pick up an instrument and play beautifully because of innate talent? No. On the left, we see an amateur who practices sporadically for about 1,800 hours over 5 years. On the right, a professional who engages in deliberate practice for nearly 22,000 hours over 15 years with systematic training and expert feedback. The same principle applies to developing creativity. It requires thousands of hours of deliberate practice, systematic training, and expert guidance. TRTP provides that systematic framework for developing creativity, just as conservatories provide systematic frameworks for developing musicianship. Let's analyze the resource investment required to develop as a creative personality according to TRTP principles. Based on research into expertise development, we need a minimum of 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. This is the famous 10,000-hour rule. If you dedicate 3 hours per day to deliberate creative development, that's 10,000 divided by 3 times 365, which equals approximately 9.1 years. The financial investment includes books, courses, mentorship, equipment, and travel to conferences. Estimate $20,000 to $100,000 over a decade. But the opportunity cost is significantly higher. The time spent on creative development could have been spent earning money in conventional employment or pursuing leisure activities. However, the return on investment can be astronomical. One breakthrough innovation can generate billions in economic value and save countless lives. Let's walk through a practical exercise for identifying your worthy goal. Step 1. Identify 3 to 5 problems in the world that deeply trouble you. These should be significant problems, not minor inconveniences. Step 2. For each problem, ask yourself, given my current skills and potential future capabilities, which problem could I realistically make a significant impact on? Step 3. Research who else is working on these problems. What approaches are they taking? Where are the gaps in current efforts? Step 4. Formulate a specific goal statement. It should be concrete, measurable, and ambitious, yet achievable within your lifetime. Here's an example. Problem: climate change impacts on agriculture. My capability? Background in biotechnology and data science. Worthy goal: develop drought-resistant crop varieties using AI that are accessible to smallholder farmers in developing nations. TRTP explicitly addresses the obstacles that creative individuals will inevitably face. Obstacle 1 is external resistance and skepticism. New ideas threaten the status quo, and people with vested interests will oppose you. The TRTP response is to develop thick-skin, strategic communication skills and the ability to build coalitions of supporters. Obstacle 2 is resource constraints. You often won't have the money, equipment, or personnel you need. The TRTP response is to apply creativity to resource acquisitions. Use TRIZ principles to work around constraints. Seek unconventional funding sources. Obstacle 3 is self-doubt and burnout. The path of a creative person is lonely and exhausting. The TRTP response is to consciously build support networks, practice self-care, and maintain perspective on the long-term value of your work. Let me illustrate the compound effect of systematically developing creative capabilities. Assume in year 1, your creative output is 1.0 units, whatever that means in your field. If you improve by 15% per year through deliberate practice and TRTP principles, your creative output in year n equals your initial output times 1.15 raised to the power n. After 10 years, you're producing approximately 4.05 units, over 4 times your initial output. After 20 years, you're producing 16.37 units, more than 16 times your initial creative output. This exponential growth is why early investment in developing creative capabilities matters so much. The compound effect over decades is extraordinary. Let's discuss how TRIZ and TRTP work together synergistically. TRIZ provides tactical tools for solving specific technical problems. It gives you 40 principles, patterns of evolution, and the contradiction matrix. TRTP provides the strategic framework for directing your entire life toward creative goals. It's the meta level that guides which problems you choose to solve. Here's the relationship. TRIZ at the bottom provides problem-solving tools. TRTP at the top provides the life strategy framework. TRTP guides which problems you tackle with TRIZ. Let me give a modern example. Elon Musk exhibits many TRTP characteristics, whether he knows the theory explicitly or not. His worthy goal is making humanity multiplanetary to ensure long-term survival of consciousness. This is highly ambitious and socially significant. His life strategy involves creating multiple companies, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, that all align with his broader vision of ensuring humanity's future. He demonstrates non-standard thinking, questioning fundamental assumptions in multiple industries. And he's certainly developed the ability to defend controversial ideas against massive skepticism. His work capacity is legendary, with reports of 80 to 100-hour work weeks sustained over decades. If we estimate 90 hours per week over 52 weeks for 25 years of his career, that's 117,000 hours of focused work, far exceeding the 10,000-hour threshold for expertise. This raises a critical question. Can everyone become highly creative by following TRTP principles, or are there inherent limitations? The TRTP position is that while not everyone will reach genius level, most people can significantly improve their creative capabilities through systematic development. The bottleneck is usually motivation and willingness to invest the necessary time and effort, not inherent cognitive ability. However, choosing a worthy goal that aligns with your strengths and interests matters enormously. You need to work within your zone of potential excellence. Let me summarize the key elements of TRTP that we've covered. First, creativity is not innate talent, but a skill that can be learned through systematic development and deliberate practice. Second, TRTP rests on 3 pillars: a worthy goal that is socially significant, a life strategy that organizes your entire life around achieving that goal, and specific creative qualities that must be consciously developed. Third, becoming a creative personality requires long-term commitment, typically measured in decades, and significant resource investment measured in thousands of hours and considerable financial resources. Fourth, obstacles including external resistance, resource constraints, and internal doubts are inevitable. TRTP provides frameworks for systematically addressing these obstacles. Fifth, TRIZ and TRTP work together synergistically. TRIZ provides tactical problem-solving tools, while TRTP provides strategic life direction. I want to end with a reflection on choice. TRTP fundamentally asserts that becoming a creative person is a choice. You choose whether to pursue a worthy goal or settle for conventional success. You choose whether to invest thousands of hours in systematic development or coast on existing abilities. You choose whether to persist through inevitable obstacles or give up when things get difficult. The world desperately needs more people making this choice. Humanity faces enormous challenges that require creative solutions. TRTP provides a roadmap for that journey from wherever you are now to becoming someone capable of making significant creative contributions to society. So I challenge you, what will your worthy goal be? What problem in the world deeply troubles you enough that you're willing to dedicate years or decades to solving it? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today.